The next banner in Umamusume is going to have Wedding Air Groove and Wedding Mayano Top Gun. If you're not pulling for meta and you're going to pull for your favorite characters, your Oshis, your waifu, whatever you want to call it, here is what you're going to be getting from those characters. Let's go ahead and get started with this analysis. Now, when we take a look at Wedding Air Groove, we'll go with her first. She does have that growth rate of 10 speed, 10 power, and 10 guts. So that is going to be a little bit more helpful, especially because when we look at the distance that she runs, it's going to be mile and medium with the B and A respectively, and she can do sprints if you do decide, hey, I want to juice her up for the sprints for whatever reason. She will be able to go there. Now, her strategy is going to be an A in pace and an A in late, but when we take a look at her skills, I think honestly she's going to be a little bit better for mile. Her ultimate is one that isn't too crazy, but what it does is when you're in the middle leg and you're in position for CM specifically, if you're in positions 3, 4, or 5, and you are looking to overtake someone, you will get target speed of 0.3545 seconds. Now, this is going to be the track for CM3. I'm not using the CM2 track because this thing is massive and I don't want to get confused here, so we're just going to look at the CM3 track. On here, this line where it goes from yellow to like this purplish line from all the way here is going to be the middle leg where Air Groove's ability can proc. Now, it does say it will proc at some time during the mid race when you're trying to overtake someone, so in theory you won't be overtaking anyone here because the position keep ends right here. So this is where you'll start seeing those end closers start moving forward, the late surgers moving forward, your pace chasers moving forward. This is where this is going to happen. So in an ideal world, we're going to hopefully get it to proc a little bit later, because I would love to have that speed as later as I can, because if I can get it, let's say maybe down here in this area, I can have speed overlap go into my final leg, which will then, if I hit acceleration skills there, I'll be at my top speed much quicker, because instead of going from the bottom and then going to the top, I may start at like a quarter of the way and then go to the top. And so if we can get it to proc a little bit later, that would be ideal. So because of this, personally, I may look at running her as a late. Now, obviously, you could run her as a pace, and that wouldn't be bad either. I just need to make sure that you get the idea of how that would look like and where you would be able to get your benefits from when you get this skill to proc. Now, is this going to be like the greatest skill in the world? No, not by any means, but this is what you're going to get from her, and it will, at the very least, if it procs after the position keep ends, it will at least be able to start moving you forward a little bit quicker, so that way you can get into better position as the end of the middle leg starts happening. With the rest of this character, there are some decent skills here. We've got corner acceleration. The only issue, at least my issue, is that it could be on any random corner. So if we just use the same Tokyo racetrack that for CM3, it could be on this corner or it could be on this corner. And for this track in particular, having the acceleration here for that 1.8 seconds isn't really going to help me as much compared to if I had a track where the final corner was closer to the final leg, kind of the way that CM1 was. Now, she does have abilities for mile and pace chaser, so if you do decide to run her as a mile pace chaser, totally fine. She has a little bit of extra juice for you that can turn around and say, hey, this will help her a little bit more. She also gets things like home stretch haste and go with the flow and up tempo, which right now in our current game are not that great. However, later down the road, we will get evolved skills. So if you go to global right here and then change this to Japan, and then we scroll down, you'll see this right here. These are the evolved skills. When you meet these conditions, these skills will become these skills. You know, curve Sommelier will become crescent moon Sommelier. And if you don't know what it is, you know, just kind of make that mental note before you swap it over here, and then you come back down here and say, oh, okay, it's my level 5 potential skill. My level 5 potential skill turns into this. Now, the reason why I want to bring this up very quickly is because this skill is okay. You know, it's okay. But when we take a look at this skill, we now get acceleration plus current speed. So this is kind of helping her fight against that power creep as the game gets later and later and later. And so right now, if you were to pull for Wedding Air Groove, this is going to be more for like your Oshi slash waifu slash favorite character pick, more than it is for something that's extremely meta. Moving on to Mayano Top Gun, the wedding variant. I will say beforehand I was kind of meh about her, but after looking at her a little bit more closely, she's someone that I think has a lot of theoretical potential. So if we take a look at her, she does have the 10 speed, 10 stamina, and 10 wit for her growth stat. And just like the normal Mayano Top Gun, she has very good aptitudes in medium and long, and she can do any strategy that you would like for her to do. One of the reasons why this is very good is because on her unique ability, she has 2 different effects that are possible depending on where you run her. So if you run her as a front or pace, when you're on the final corner and you're in the front half of the pack and you are overtaking someone, then you'll get some target speed 0.35 for 5 seconds. Now that's not too terrible. The interesting thing about her is that if you run her as a late or end, so you're on the final corner and you are in position 5, 6, or 7, and then you've overtaken someone, you will instead get acceleration, which this skill is a very track dependent skill. So on some tracks, like let's say for instance CM2, where the final corner happens all the way over here, that acceleration isn't going to be as helpful compared to running her as a front or pace chaser. When you get to this final corner, you'll have that extra target speed. If we take a look at a map like CM4, final leg starts right here, and then as we get to this final corner right here, then her acceleration will proc, which is very ideal. So this character, in my opinion, is one that you could really play around with and say, hey, on this map it looks better that I go maybe front or pace. On this map it may be better for late or end. So this Wedding Top Gun is someone who has a lot of flexibility and variation in the tracks and distances that she runs, and I really like this a lot. When we take a look at her other skills, she does get the corner recovery. The navigation for a pace chaser is it's okay, but it's not anything to write home about. She does have the Mystifying Murmur on her pot 3, so she does have a nice juicy little debuff, and then she also gains access to Swinging Maestro, so you don't have to have the Super Creep to turn around and give you this. You could just boom, get it immediately. Straightaway Adept is a skill that I'm not 100% sold on. I mean, it's 0.9 seconds to get 0.15 target speed. That small amount of time, it's pretty difficult to say that, oh man, this is a game changer of a skill. But then you have something like Straightaway Acceleration, which you can use multiple times in a race. It just depends on how quickly you proc it the first time, but it's on a random straight, so that is a little bit for me. Overall, in my opinion, Mayano Top Gun, while she may not be that cream of the crop, top of the top, she is a character who I do believe if you want a lot of variation and you want to say, hey, maybe I take this character and do this or this or this, you have that ability within the medium and longs. And even then for the short and mild tracks as well. And so now you take a look at this and say, this is something that could be very interesting if you like the variation, if you like the adaptability for playstyles on this character. I don't think she's too terrible. And then of course, if this is your favorite character, your waifu, your oshi, whatever you want to call it, hey, go for it. I ain't gonna hate on it, but I will definitely try my best to say, hey, this is what you're gonna get if you pull this character. Now, the last thing that we'll take a look at is going to be the support cards. We do have the Kawakami Princess SSR support card, and we have the Hishi Akebono support card as well. Starting off with the Kawakami Princess, I believe someone in my Discord, I think it was Curiously, had some kind of website that said if you were to, let's just say we have it at MLB, if you were to use this card and train it on speed a bunch of times, it would actually give you more power compared to Kita-san would because of this power bonus. For example's sake, we're gonna have a vacuum. If I get to use Kita-san 20 times on speed, I'm gonna get to use Kawakami Princess 20 times on speed as well in this example. Obviously, will that happen? Probably not, because she's only got 35 specialty priority. But let's just say, for example's sake, I get 20 on Kita, 20 on this Kawakami Princess. If that happens, let's just say I may get 30 on Kita-san for the power, but then I may get 50 for the power on Kawakami Princess. And so from at least that perspective, she is a solid card. If I could just, you know, randomly say, hey, I would love to have a MLB SSR card, which one would I choose? I wouldn't mind taking something like this because I know Tokai Teo doesn't have any power growth rate, and so this would help her at least in that regards. This power bonus trait is something that we've only seen, at least so far, in 2 other cards on Global, and that is this Tokai Teo speed support card. We see it here, and then on the King Halo support card, the SR, we see it right here. And so this is something that if you value the power hits as well when you're hitting the speed, this may be something you look into. However, I can't say that these skills are going to be the greatest skills in the world that you are getting from it. You're getting things for medium and you're getting things for pace chasers. So if you're not, you know, a pace chaser in specific, you may not even be benefiting from this card as much as if you were a pace chaser. However, that still doesn't take away from the fact of that power bonus stat. So just keep that in mind if you do decide to pull for this banner for support cards. This would be a very solid card to go after, but again, not the cream of the crop, but it's not the bottom of the bottom. If we take a look at this Hishi Akebono card, this is going to be a Guts card. We don't have that Guts update yet, so it's still not going to be as hot as it could be, but we'll at least take a look at it. When it is at MLB, we have hint levels of 4 with the frequency of 60%. Now this 100% reminds me of the Mayano Muteki card that came out relatively recently. It's got the level 4 hint and it's got the frequency. Now, the difference here is these skills are not as juicy as the Mayano Muteki card. This one has everything that you need for the mid-race overtaking combo except for Slipstream. This card has a couple of sprint things and a couple of front runner things, which if I'm going to take front runners, I would much rather have the speed silent Suzuka card. If I'm going to take a sprint skill, I'd rather have a different card, especially because this is Guts. So if you're going to pull for this banner, this is not the card that you want to be going after. If you want to fill out your SR cards, this is not the card that you want to be hitting. In the ideal world, you hit this card instead. Also, before you pull for cards in specific, please note that in the future, the same way that we have the SSR currency that will increase our limit break on an SSR card from, let's just say, 1 to 2, we will also have a currency that increases our SR limit breaks the same way, let's just say like from 1 to 2 as well, or 2 to 3 or 3 to 4, however it is you want to count it there. So if you are like, hey man, I just need this 1 or 2 SR cards, I don't really care to pull for these cards in particular, just wait a little bit. Just wait a little bit. Save your carrots, wait a little bit, because that currency will be here, and then you may be able to save those pulls for something in the future that is a little bit more desirable for you. With all that being said, that's my opinions on the banner for the support cards and for the SSR characters. Let me know down in the comments, are you going to be pulling for any of these things? If you are, what is it going to be and why? I would love to know down in the comment section below. Here is a massive shout out to my current members on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much for the support. It really means the world to me. I have many videos planned for the future. Some of the higher priority videos are going to be what cards and characters you should be looking out for if you are a front runner, since your time to shine is coming very soon, as well as CM2 prep videos, at least, you know, as much information as I've gathered and can kind of see from researching it on my own opinion. And so if those type of things interest you, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Be sure to share this video with your friends, with your family, and with your family's friends. Also, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.